Hey, what's up you guys? This is Gabby. I am back with another video. I hope you guys are well out there. And what are we gonna talk about on today's video? So this video is going to touch on a topic that I've actually been getting a lot of questions about lately. I think it may be due to the pandemic that we're going through or something like that, because it's been a question that I've gotten much more of lately than in the past, and that is, should I go to school full-time or part-time? People are wondering if there is a certain benefit or maybe a con about going to school part-time. And first, I'll start this video by saying that when I did my MSW program, I did it completely full-time. I did work part-time, but not really during the second year, because during my second year, the way my program was structured was that I was at my internship 3 days out of the week. And during my first year, I was at my internship 2 days out of the week. So juggling school full-time plus being at my internship 3 times a week, it just wasn't really ideal for me. I had a hard time personally, but I'm sure some people can totally do it. I actually remember a few classmates of mine who worked full-time as well as doing school full-time. Bless their hearts. I'm not totally sure how they did it or where they got the energy and the motivation, but it is possible if you are about that life. But as far as part-time schooling, the way it usually works is that you can get your MSW degree in about 3.5 years on a part-time schedule, as opposed to the 2 years during the full-time schedule. So the obvious benefit of doing full-time versus part-time is that you get to graduate and get your diploma, move on with your life at a sooner pace, 2 years instead of 3 or 3.5 years. That's one reason I really wanted to just go full-time and get it out of the way. A benefit of doing part-time is that you can have the flexibility and you have more time in your schedule to actually work a job. I know a lot of people who are non-traditional students who were already working in the field or already had full-time jobs in other fields. They just didn't have the flexibility like myself to stop that job. Maybe they have responsibilities, maybe they have a mortgage and a family, and they just need that income to be generating. When I went to school, I was a young 21-year-old. I didn't have those type of responsibilities, so I didn't need to work a full-time job. So you definitely want to consider that and what your priorities are. Also, another benefit of doing school part-time is that you're not gonna have to come out of pocket as much to pay for your education as you would if you were going to school full-time. So taking half of the classes at a time as a full-time student means that you're gonna have to shell out half of the tuition at a time. So that can be more doable and more manageable for people who don't want to have to shell out all that money at once. And with education being so expensive, that's something that's worth looking into if you may be struggling or, a little bit worried about paying all of the tuition. And another benefit of doing school part-time means that you have more time to really dedicate towards different interests that you have, or maybe different volunteer or opportunities related to whatever you're going to school for, so that once you graduate, you could actually have more experience and more things under your belt to make you more qualified for certain jobs. And even putting aside your career, having that freedom to focus on you and developing yourself as a person, figuring out what your interests, your hobbies, and all of that is very important. And that's something that a lot of people who are going to school full-time don't have the opportunity to do. They really have to focus so much of their time and energy on their schooling and on their coursework that once they graduate and they have more time on their hands, then they can really focus more on themselves and their personal growth and development, because maybe while they were in school, they just didn't have a chance to do that. And I think that's really important as a person. Yes, we have to think about our careers. Our careers are important, but at the end of the day, we have to also be familiar with ourselves, be comfortable in our own skin, and know who we are as people. And being more familiar with that is going to help you in whatever career path you go in, but specifically in social work, which is a field that I think is very connected to you as an individual, your personal morals and values, etc. For example, I went to graduate school full-time right after I got my undergraduate degree, so I didn't have have any breaks in between. And afterwards, I went to South Korea for 2 years to teach abroad because I really wanted that time to learn more about myself and to build character, because I feel like I didn't have that chance when I was in grad school for 2 years because I was so focused on my classes and my internships and everything else. And yes, maybe some people who are going to school part-time also have a full-time job, but I feel like school is a whole different beast. It really does take over and take captive of your brain in a whole different way. Like right now, I work full-time, I have a full-time job, but I feel like I have so much more freedom to really explore my interests and to read and, do all this other stuff, do my hobbies than I did when I was in school. So much of my time was already taken away. You're not at school from 9 to 5. You're taking classes during the day. Maybe sometimes you have night classes, but outside of all of that, you're going to have to study at odd hours of the night. In the morning time, you're going to have to write papers. And the time you dedicate to school, specifically graduate school, is not restrained within a 9 to 5 time frame. So in my opinion, I think it may be a bit easier to go to school part-time and work part-time, or even going to school part-time and working full-time. Let's say you're only taking a few classes a semester. I think that may even allow you to have more free time than just, going to school full-time, or going to school full-time and working part-time like I did for my first year. I was completely exhausted. I feel like I didn't have any time in a day when I did that. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's not too confusing. Basically, what I'm saying is that, going to school full time, in my opinion, means that you're more busy, you have less free time than working full time. And therefore, working full time and going to school part time, I think means that you may have more freedom than going to school full time and working part time. I hope that makes sense. Hey, what's up, you guys? So this is editing version of Gabby, and I wanted to pop back into this video and give a little bit more context about this theory, the idea that going to school full time is more difficult than going to work full time is just a theory. Some people may disagree with me, but the reason I feel this is the case is because I feel like professors often assume that when you're a full-time student, you don't really have that many other responsibilities and that you are automatically focusing the majority of your time and energy into school. Often when people are doing full time, they're younger, they don't have as many responsibilities. So professors really are expecting them to bring their all to the classroom. But I think, when adults have full-time jobs, it's a little bit more flexibility because everyone knows that you have other obligations that you have. And also, I feel like with work, there is a sense of predictability there that makes managing that schedule a little bit more easy. When you are a grad school student, there's different type of projects that you're doing. There's different extracurricular events that you're a part of. And that unpredictability, it puts you more on your toes, and it may make you a little bit more stressed out than a job would make you. Thinking back on my graduate school experience, I really couldn't predict what my day was going to look like from one day to the next. And that was the beauty of grad school because, I really learned a lot through those varied experiences, but it also took a lot of energy out of me to bring myself to that different, unpredictable experience every day. But with work, especially if you have a standard office job, it's going to look pretty similar from day to day. Of course, there's some variation, as we hope so, right? We don't want to be bored out of our minds, but there's just more predictability than the graduate school experience. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think this is a theory that is not true? Do you feel the same about it? And also, while I'm here, I might as well let you guys know that I do have an Instagram page. If you were not aware, I am going to link that below. So definitely check me out on Instagram so we can be pals. And I do take video requests from people who reach out to me on Instagram. So definitely follow me there. On that note, let's get back into this video already. But you also have to think about the type of job you have too. I think generally you're going to be busier with grad school than working. But if you're working a job that is more strenuous or more time consuming or stressful than the average job, then you'll have to reconsider what I just said and think about this from the perspective of your own job. But at the end of the day, I think it's really up to you. I think you have to figure out what is best for your particular lifestyle, because as I mentioned, maybe you do have a family and you want to spend more of your time with your family. If you're going to school full time, that's really going to create a challenge with that. Or let's say you're not really in a rush and you just want to take your time and finish school at your own pace. I think part-time is great for people like that, because for me, since I didn't really have a lot of work experience, me getting the opportunity to have a job and to start making money meant that I had to finish school as soon as I could. So that's why I went to school full time. But if you've already found a job that's paying you decently and allowing you to take care of all your bills, maybe you're not in as much of a rush to finish school than someone like myself was. But I think one thing that you have to remember and consider when you are thinking about being a part-time student is that you may not have access to the same amount of scholarships as someone who was interested in being a full-time student. A lot of the scholarships and grant opportunities are just not available for part-time students. One of the criteria or qualifications to get a lot of them may be that you are actually going to be enrolling full-time. So if you really are banking on scholarships and grant opportunities to get through school, that's something to consider. Also, something to consider is the fact that if you are a part-time student, you may not have the same level of connectedness to your cohort, because most people in grad school are probably going to be doing full-time. So that means they're starting and ending their program with a specific cohort, and they're able to build connections, they're able to build that network and support system amongst their cohort. Like me, for example, I have friends that I started my graduate school process with who I'm still very good friends with today. And if I was a part-time student, I wouldn't have the same type of network to probably be able to cultivate those long-term friendships. So if you're a part-time student, you are kind of going through that process on your own to a certain extent. Yes, there may be other students that you meet and, can really build relationships with, but you may not be starting and ending that process together as a group, as a team, so to speak. So the connection may not be as deep. But on the same token, when I was in school, even though I did full time, I found that those people who was a little bit more stable, had jobs, had families, they didn't feel the need to be as connected to other students anyway, because they were just so busy with their own lives and their own responsibilities. So maybe that's not really much of a con for you in the first place. For me, it would have been a con because I didn't have my own life really. That was something that I really fell back on and really needed at the time, especially because I went to grad school in a whole new city. I didn't know anyone, etc. But those are just a few last points to really consider, the situation with the scholarships and that you may not qualify for many of those, and the fact that you probably won't be able to really build that relationship with your cohort in the same way that a full-time student may. But everyone's situation is different. I think going to school part-time, doing your MSW program part-time is a fantastic idea. It gives people who may not otherwise have the opportunity to get their MSW the chance to do so. So definitely take advantage if full-time is not for you. It's not for everyone. And at the end of the day, whether you study full-time or part-time, we're gonna have the same diploma, be qualified for the same type of jobs. It's just a matter of the journey getting there, but we're all gonna be getting to the same spot. So do what's best for you. Everyone's journey is different, so you just have to figure out what's best for you. But I hope this video helped you to consider some things that you may want to think about as you're making that decision for yourself. If you guys have any questions, please leave them below. If you're not already subscribed, definitely do so that you can get more videos like this. And on that note, I will talk to you guys in my next video. See you later.